Sudden shakeup at one of the highest economic agencies in the nation. President Trump has fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and he did that just hours after the agency reported that job growth in the United States has slowed to a near halt.
We are bringing back our Queen City News chief business correspondent Taylor Young to kind of break this down. Taylor, first off, boy, this firing has sent shockwaves through Washington.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unheard of. It's actually not often that we even talk about this job position in the news. So as you could imagine, the response to this has been really polarizing. You have people in the White House who are backing the president saying, hey, he just wants his own people in these kinds of positions. But also on the other side, you have many economists who are kind of sharing concerns over what this means for the integrity of data in the U.S. As we know, this is kind of still unfolding right now, really kind of taking place over the weekend. So we're seeing a lot of those responses from lawmakers still trickling in this morning. But the big question, of course, how we got here, what led up to this? So the Bureau of Labor Statistics, also known as the BLS, is an agency that essentially acts as the economic data collector for the U.S. It puts out job numbers, inflation data, and all kinds of reports that shape how we understand the state of the economy. Well, on Friday, the BLS reported the U.S. added just 73,000 jobs in July, much lower than expected. And this is important, the agency made major downward revisions to May and June's numbers. President Trump did not like these revisions. He took to social media calling out the BLS commissioner, Erica McIntarfer, saying the job report was, quote, being produced by a Biden appointee, and that he believes these numbers are, quote, phony. Then soon after that, he did order his administration to fire her.
All right, wow, yeah, so this is, I think a lot of people are waiting on the dust here to settle.
Yeah.
Given that this appears to be the response to that jobs report and the revisions, how often does the BLS do something like that?
Yeah, so I mean, that actually happens quite frequently, pretty much on a regular basis, actually. So, and there's several factors that kind of play into that. So, of course, we have the BLS commissioner and their statisticians kind of looking at the numbers that are trickling in. A lot of times, there's late responses from businesses. So what the BLS does is it puts out a number off of projections, and then those more numbers, more data comes in, and they kind of make revisions. That happens frequently. But what kind of sticks out to me in these last revisions is how large they are. We really haven't seen that big of a substantial revision outside of the pandemic era, really for over 16 years. And I will say economists do believe that there were a couple of reasons of why those revisions were so large, including lower response rates, which we've had seen really kind of pick up over the last couple of years, as well as just the unusual economic conditions that the U.S. is in right now. Trump, on the other hand, sees these revisions as being politically motivated.
Okay, so Taylor, we know that the head of BLS is out. What does President Trump have planned next?
Yeah, so he, in a press conference yesterday, says he plans to announce a new head of the BLS in coming days by the end of the week. That person will then, that nominee would then have to be kind of confirmed by the Senate, which is absolutely something that we will be following over the next couple of days, considering this is, like we mentioned, a big role for kind of monitoring the economic state of the U.S.
All right, Taylor, thank you very much.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.